What's up, my fellow advertisers? Now, if you want to know the best Facebook ad campaign structure and account structure in 2025 to get results like a 2x ROAS, 3x, 4x, even 50x ROAS, okay? You can do that all with this campaign structure, right? Results like this, where we got $80,000 at a 9.15 ROAS, or like this, where we generated 94,000 at a 2.14 ROAS, or like this, where we generated 14,000 at a 2.18 ROAS, or like this, 61,000 at a 4.49 ROAS. So this really works for all spends. This works for low budgets, high budgets. It uses a simple structure that is very easy to follow, that leverages Facebook's AI. So you're not trying to outsmart the AI, you're trying to leverage it to the best possible degree. So we find there's really some core fundamental things that you need to have as a business model and margins in order to run ads successfully. And so we're gonna get into all that today. I'm gonna show you the best campaign structure so that you can succeed and scale your ads in 2025. All right, so like I said, the prerequisites needed to actually run ads before we get into the campaign structure and how to build it all out, okay, to get results like I just showed you. The prerequisites that you need, if you're an e-commerce brand, right, or if you're a B2B business, you don't need to worry about this, but if you're an e-commerce brand especially, these are the types of numbers that you need and to actually run ads profitably on Facebook, okay? Because the way Facebook works now, okay, it's not like it used to be where everybody could just run ads and was profitable because the cost per click was 10 cents or 1 cent or whatever. Everybody can make money when the cost per click is 10 cents, okay? But the cost per click now, essentially, you can think of Facebook as it maximized their overall profitability, right? And so it's got the most users and they're maximizing the ad profitability. So to get the most profit and to still get business results, they've found that sweet spot in terms of CPM and cost per click in order for Facebook to make money, but to still get their advertisers results, okay? And so if your business is not very good, at the end of the day, you're probably with the other, 90% of businesses that ultimately run ads are profitable enough to continue to run ads, but not profitable enough to invest and really scale their business. Okay, and so that's why you see cost per clicks are pretty commonly between $1 to $2 for e-commerce D2C. And that's just what you're going to see across the board. And so you need these other metrics in place to really have a chance at succeeding with ads before you even publish any ad. And that is, you need to have a break-even ROAS between 1.2 and 1.5. And that really comes down to your profit margin, okay? And so if you have a product and a D2C business, you need a profit margin of at least 70% or higher, okay, to have that range of 1.2 to 1.5 ROAS. Okay, and so to get your break-even ROAS, you need to divide 1 by your profit margin, right? And so if you have 70% profit margin, for example, your break-even ROAS would be a 1.43. Okay, and a 1.43 ROAS is a decent break-even margin, but obviously the more profit margin you have in your product, the better, right? And so, for example, if you had 90% profit margins, right, you sell a product for $100 and it costs you $10 to actually make that product, your break-even ROAS would be a 1.11, right? A 1.11 is what you need to be profitable or to actually just break even. So anything above a 1.11 would technically be profitable for you. And so you can see you have a lot more leverage to scale your business if your break-even ROAS is a 1.11 versus if you have 50% profit margins, like I see so many businesses have, your break-even ROAS needed is a 2. And so if you're at a 2.5 or even a 2.2 ROAS, there's so little margin there, you can't scale that. Versus if you're at a 1.11, imagine you're spending $10,000 per month and your break-even profit is 1.11. You can scale that so much further, okay? And some other basics that you need is a conversion rate of about 1%, okay? And that's kind of like the bare minimum, right? 1% is really the lowest you can go unless you have a really high ticket offer, over several $100s. Then you can have get away with having a conversion rate a bit lower than that. But 1% is ideal, okay? And then to add to that, you need to have an average order value of about $70, right? So the higher your ticket value, the more you can get away with some of these other numbers. You can have a, less high of a break-even ROAS. You can have, a worse conversion rate if you have a $500 product versus a $70 product, because you need to get a lot less clicks to get a lot more conversion value, right? If that makes sense. So these are the prerequisites that we really see you need for a D2C brand. So you want to ensure you have those. Okay, now if all that I knew was how much ad spend you had, what your margins are, okay, and then using your cost per click, I can show you, and what your conversion rate is actually, I can show you everything that you need to know about how profitable you're going to be with ads using a simple calculation like this. So this is a doc here where we have, and we can forecast out our scaling and scalability of our business. And so again, if you have an average order value of 150, and let's say you have a lifetime value of 180, so you know you're going to make about $30 more per customer, okay, and your cost of goods sold is about 20%, okay, your starting ad spend is about $9,000, your cost per click is $1, your drop-off percentage from actually clicking the website to visiting your landing page is about 20%, which is pretty typical. Your conversion rate is 2%, okay? And then you have all of your other fees right here, right? So a ROAS scaling efficiency of 94% is pretty typical that we see. Your cost of goods sold will be about $30, okay? And then your payment processor fees and your shipping fees, right? All that included. Okay, so this is exactly what your business would look like if those numbers were your numbers and you were to spend $9,000, okay? You would get at $1 cost per click, you would have 9,000 clicks. With the drop off, you'd have about 7,200 page visitors. You'd have a conversion rate of 2%. So in that case, given your average order value of 150, you would generate 21,000 in revenue. Okay, your cost of goods sold would be 4,320. Okay, your gross profit would be 17,280. And then deducting all of the expenses, right? So this is just after your cost of goods sold, deducting your ad spend of 9,000 and then all of your fees. Okay, you'd be left with about $6,100.70 as your profit, right? Which is not horrible at a 2.4 ROAS, but you can see that that kind of wanes off really quickly. So if this is your business and you're currently at a 2.4 ROAS, right? If you try to scale this at your current efficiency, you can see you're going to increase profit if you go from 9 to 12, if you go from 12 to 15, right? You're going to see more profit. At a certain point, you're going to see diminishing returns because you can't afford to scale, right? As your cost per click goes up, as you're trying to scale into further markets, you are going to see your efficiency drop such that you lose and maximizing your profit, right? And you also have your lifetime value associated with that, but that's just kind of something to be aware of. And so your levers to pull are you can either decrease your cost per click. So if we were to drop this to 80 cents by running better ads, that would be one way to improve this. We can also improve our conversion rate from 2 to 3% by improving our landing page. And we could also increase our average order value or lifetime value to 200 and let's say 250 versus 150. And all those things are going to make a huge impact to the scalability of our business. So in the exact same scenario, if we were to spend $9,000, we would generate at 80 cent cost per click, 11,000 clicks, 9,000 page views, 3% conversion rate would be 54,000 in revenue, resulting in a 6 ROAS with $29,000 in profit. And look how much more scalable this business is. If we were to increase by 3,000 every single month, we would, easily, kind of max out around $53,000 in total profit and about $116,000 in revenue, given these numbers and given the scaling efficiency, given how we've set up our business and improve the back-end metrics. Okay, so that's a little bit on the prerequisites around scaling in the account structure for an e-commerce D2C brand. So that's super important to know before I get into the account structure. You want to optimize your business. Okay, now for the account structure, here is how we set up our campaigns. Now, it starts out with research. So we need to understand the competitive landscape, the customer profile, and what winning ad creatives our competitors are currently using. Okay, and so we have research analysis and building out that customer avatar. We have our audience, which includes looking at audience reviews of our product or similar products on Amazon or Reddit or TikTok Shop or wherever we have similar products. Then we also have writing out the ad copy and looking for creative inspiration for our ads. And so we start with research. I'm not going to get super into the research here because you came for the account structure, but that is the research component. Now, this is how we set up all of our campaigns. It's super simple. You have one manual sales campaign, then you have a broad or single audience targeting ad set with one singular ad as an Advantage Plus creative or / a dynamic creative. They're essentially the same thing, where you can stack multiple images and videos in one ad with multiple pieces of copy. Okay, so you have one campaign, you have one ad set, and you have one singular ad with multiple ads in there. So let's break down each of these a little bit further. Now, for your one campaign here, this is a manual sales campaign using our ACB Advantage campaign budget, which is essentially like campaign level budget, CBO. You have your budget at the campaign level. Start that at a minimum $100 per day so that you have enough visibility there. Now, within that, the reason that we set that up in that way is so that Facebook can use the budget on the best performing ad sets, taking out the guesswork of assigning individual budgets to individual ad sets. Facebook is going to get you better results and isn't going to waste your money. If you have an ad that performs better, gets a better click-through rate, gets a better cost per result, it's going to put most of the budget there. So you can continue to test new ads and try to outperform your top ad essentially without you having to manually control any budgets or anything like that. And the best part about this is if you want to scale, you can easily increase the budget on the campaign level and it won't change or affect anything. It will continue to scale that up and put all the budget into your top performing ads, and you lose very little drop off when trying to scale. All right, so now let's look at the ad sets here. Where things can get fancy, but we also keep it pretty simple. This is broad or single interest targeting ad sets, okay? And so when using the ad set level, I'm assuming you know what the ad set level is. It's for your audience targeting controls, right? So what you want to do is use the original audience option, okay? You don't want to use the Advantage Plus audiences and make it fully broad. You want to use the original audience option, but you can still target broad with no audience. So targeting broad, limiting the demographics if you need to. So if you know your customer is only 40 plus, you can easily do that, or it's only women. Those are the only settings that you want to change and always have consistent. Otherwise, leave it broad. Facebook will optimize based on the age ranges that you get the most sales from and conversions from. Always make it so that you're optimizing for purchases and what you want for also, okay? And then within this, you have a single interest targeting or single interest lookalike. So if you're gonna do broad, test broad as well if you have a good amount of data. So if you have no purchases, you've never gotten a conversion, it's a brand new ad account, then run a single interest before you run broad. If you have a lot of data, you can test running broad and that will probably perform best based on what we've seen, but you can still use interest and you can still use lookalikes to test and see how they are going to perform. So typically for new ad accounts, we're gonna start out with a single interest that's the most closely related to our target audience. So if you have a dog product, we're going to target dogs. If we're B2B and we're targeting business owners that run ads, we might target Facebook Business Manager admins. If you sell fishing products, we're going to target fishing, right? Really simple, generic stuff. Okay, and that encompasses the entire audience. Usually there's multiple smaller subsegments of interest. We just target the one big broad interest that relates to all the sub-interests and has the collection of them all. So if it's fishing, we target just fishing. We don't target the individual little fishing ones. We just target just fishing, okay? Giving it the right direction to point it. And then the thing with Facebook now is they have advantage interest targeting or whatever it's called, which essentially means that even if you put an interest or a lookalike in there, Facebook's going to expand it anyways, right? So if you give it an interest, it's going to start there. And that's what we find best is like give Facebook the right direction, but it might spend elsewhere anyways, and you don't even know where it's spending. So at least give it a good starting point. So that's why we do one singular interest, and you can test a singular lookalike as well. So if it works and you find that that particular interest is working, especially for B2B, then you at least know that that audience is the right starting point and is actually working, and you can use that for all of your other ad sets to keep your targeting consistent. Okay, and then within each of those, like I said, we're going to stack them up, okay? And so we have ad set 001 with audience 1. We have ad set 002 with audience 002. And so within each of these, again, you can test broad, you can test a singular interest, which is where I recommend starting, and you can test a lookalike, which I don't recommend as much, but you can test a lookalike later on, okay? And so we're gonna have our singular interests in there, and we're gonna have our singular ad sets, okay? And then we're also gonna have our winning ad set, which is gonna be the one that's getting the most spend, okay? So when setting up this campaign, what I recommend is if you have some historical data and you've already spent some money on ads, what you want to do is to take your best performing ads, okay, create an ad set that uses broad targeting or that singular interest, okay, and then use an existing post feature to grab all of the top posts from ads that you've ran in the past. So if you have a couple ad sets that you spent, a lot of money on that had some really good ads, those ads are going to have a lot of engagement. They're going to have a lot of comments, shares, likes, things like that, which make your ad actually perform way, way better. And so when launching this new campaign, the best way to set that campaign up for success right out of the gate, and this is what we do for brand new ad account launches for new clients, things like that, is we take their best performing ads historically, we throw them all into one singular ad set. So we might layer in, instead of having the one dynamic or Advantage Plus creatives, we're gonna have one ad set which has our winning ads, which are stacked with all of those existing posts, right? And so if we have 3, 4, or 5 winning ads historically with a bunch of comments, we're gonna add all of those in under our winning ad set. So we have a bunch of existing posts stacked. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense, leave a comment, I can explain that further, but hopefully that's all pretty straightforward. And now on the last stage, okay, before I show you an actual ad account with this exact campaign structure set up, we're going to have the Advantage Plus creatives / dynamic ad creatives, which again essentially means that you can stack up multiple images and pieces of copy together all in one ad. And then Facebook will essentially use its AI to split test the images, headlines, and primary text combinations. So you don't have to worry about, essentially creating all these individual ads. You could just put it all in there and Facebook will figure it out for you, which I really love. It makes it really simple and it works. Okay. So what you want to do is create that ad, stack it up with either images or videos. Don't put videos and images together. Put in either 2 images and or 2 videos, okay? And so you have 2 different assets, ideally targeting one singular angle for each. And so you have either 2 images or 2 videos, and then within that, you're gonna have 2 primary texts as well that match your particular image or video creative, and then you're gonna have 2 headlines as well that also match your primary text or creative. Okay, and so the easiest way to do that, I would recommend if you're testing new creative, start out with 2 winning pieces of headlines that work for your business, that are just work historically. So then the only thing you're really testing is the actual creatives, because you have a winning headline in there with a winning primary text. Now, if you want to test new primary text, you can also add in 1 variation of primary text that's new with a winning one, or you could also add in 1 new headline with a winning one to just split test, right? So that's going to give you 8 total variations of ads, because you have 2 images that can be paired with 2 different headlines and 2 different primary texts, right? So you add that all up, that's 8 different variations of ads that you can run in here, all within a simple structure. And then all you are doing, okay, is you're going to launch 2 to 3 ad sets at any given time, right? And Facebook will prioritize your winning ad set, right? And that's going to become the control that you are trying to beat. So you're going to notice all the budget's going to go into one ad set that's working the best, because it has the best ads essentially. It has the highest click-through rate, which is the easiest way for Facebook to optimize it. It has the highest click-through rate, right? So it's going to optimize for the best ad set. And then all you're doing after you do that, okay, any ad set that's not getting any spend, go ahead and turn that ad set off. It's not working. It's not getting any spend. You're trying to beat your winning ad, your control. And so you're launching new ad set tests with new angles that speak to your audience in a different way, that leverage video ads in a different way, or UGC, or some type of angle that's unique, right? And so you're launching new ad sets continuously using the same structure, trying to outperform your top ad. And that's all you're doing over and over again, launching new ad sets every 3 to 4 days and trying to beat your control, and slowly kind of making a spiral upwards in terms of new launches, new creatives, and new ads that perform even better and better. So when you have an ad set that's working really well and an ad, try to learn from what made that ad so successful. Take the parts of the headline that work really well, what parts of the creative work really well, how can you enhance it and make it better? And that's how you're going to launch a new ad that's even more successful, or even take some wild swings at things that are different that your competitor are doing, trying to outperform your top creative, right? And all of that leads into purchase, okay? And the best thing about this as well is what you are trying to do is build your customer pool, which should really be the main fuel for your business to grow further, right? This is just your acquisition, and you want to be front-end profitable on your acquisition. But when it comes to your customer pool, this is really what builds your customer long-term. And you can actually run ads with a post-purchase sequence targeting your existing customers with ads where you can see a 10 to 20x ROAS. And that's a separate campaign that you can actually build out, okay? And that's where you can maximize your lifetime gross profit and really separate and be able to scale by upsells, cross-sells, even promotional offers for new promotions, and referral offers as well, okay? So that all works together, and this is the campaign structure that we use. Now, when it comes to the logic and how we scale this campaign up, essentially what you can look at is using something like this, right? If we can forecast out, hey, how much are we spending right now and how profitable are we? Well, what happens if we were to double that and our efficiency decreases, right? And so you won't have all these calculations, but you can check the link in the description, and I give this away in one of my free resources here in our school community. So check that out if you're interested. But if you were to double the spend, right, how much more profit would you have? And so if you're at a 6 ROAS, you might be like, awesome, I'm at a 6 ROAS. But if you double the spend and we're at a 5 ROAS, or even a 4.7 or a 4.4, right, you would have actually much more revenue, and you'd actually be a lot more profitable, even though you're spending a lot less. So it probably makes sense to scale if you are at one of these high ROASs upwards towards even like, you can see the maximum efficiency for this is around 24 to 27,000 at between a 4.4 and a 4.1 ROAS. So you're trying to figure out where that break is in your business to where you're going to see your ROAS drop off, where you can maximize profits. And at this point, then you'll need to optimize the efficiency, right? And so if you are at this point and you're wanting to scale up further, how you would essentially go about doing that is you would look at, am I profitable? Okay, are you at the point of diminishing returns? Okay, so seeing this calculator right here, are you kind of at this point right here where returns are diminishing if you try to scale further? Okay, if the answer is no, okay, and you can scale further, increase your spend by 20% daily until you're at that point of diminishing returns. And you pretty much, there's no perfect way to kind of realize it, but you can kind of reach it to start to see that, okay, I'm now like losing more money at higher volume. And so you can scale it back down a little bit if you need. So if you're not there yet, increase by 20% daily until you start to get there. And if you are, stop and cut back. And so you can maximize your profit and continue to test new ads, launching them every 1 to 3 days. Okay, if you're not profitable, continue to test new ads in that way with combinations until you find a new winner. And when I say winner, I really do mean that. If you have one singular ad can take you to 7 figures, because all that comments, all the shares, all the likes on a particular ad, all of that scales. And if the same person, if 10 million people see one ad, 100 million people see an ad, right? What would that do for your business if it's a really good ad? Right? Obviously, you can scale it if Facebook really likes it and the cost per click is really good and the conversion rate's great. So all you need is one really, really good ad. Ideally, you're going to have a couple in there and a couple ads running, because you want to show multiple sales arguments, multiple different angles of your business, different ads. But one singular like flagship acquisition ad is all you need to really scale to 7 figures. I promise you that, even 8 figures, really, if you have one really, really strong ad in a good business. Okay, and just to hit this home, this is the exact strategy that we are currently using in this campaign that you can see. We're at an 8.68 ROAS, 73,000 generated right here. We're using broad targeting and evergreen pack. We do also have a retargeting audience within this campaign as well at a 10.99. I'll actually just open this one up here. But you can see here, we're using the original audience sections. We're not using Advantage Plus. We're excluding purchasers. And this is just broad, 25 to 65 plus. So we have the lower end of the age range excluded. We're just targeting the United States with no targeting. And that's the entire ad, right? And then you can see we have multiple packs in here. So sometimes we'll launch multiple ads just at the ad set level in this case. But normally I just recommend just one launch. Okay, here's another example right here where you can see we're on the 39th variation of this ad, and we have 37 live, 33 live, and we also have the main ad live, which is our top performing ad that I showed you, the main winning ad that's been going the longest time. That ad is currently at a 5.45. We also have a couple other winners that you can see we recently launched that are a 9.21 and a 9.82, which are absolutely crushing it, which is amazing to see. And these are new variations that we've worked diligently on to actually get live. And so if I open this one up, 0037, for example, okay, you can see this is broad, North America 20 plus. We're targeting purchases. Okay, we're targeting Canada and the US. And in this case, we are actually using Advantage Plus audience because we have a lot of data. So I'd recommend testing that out as well. You can upgrade to test Advantage Plus audience. It's essentially broad targeting once you have a lot of data. Okay, but if you don't recommend it. And so for example, okay, and so another example here on the 0039 ad set that we tested as well, we have one singular ad in here that we have stacked. Okay, we have purchases, and then we can see we have our original audience settings with broad, excluding purchasers, 25 to 65 plus, Canada and the US. And then at the ad level, we have 3 media that we're currently using. We are using 3 different primary texts as well, and we have 4 different headlines. So this is a little bit overstacked. You can test out stacking it up even higher, but I recommend just doing the 2-2-2 split because it's the simplest to get started with and to test different angles. In this case, we have a lot more to test. And so we tested some different angles, and the creatives are really, really similar. So there's not a huge difference there. So you can get away with it if you have the same creatives. But for the primary text and everything, again, recommend just 2-2-2. So that's the account structure. Use this, see better results. And if you do, leave me a comment. There's also the free school community where I give away free resources and a free course about how to set up this exact campaign structure more in depth. So check out that link to learn more about that. And also, if you want to continue to level up your ad game, I recommend checking out this video by me next. YouTube thinks you're really going to like it.